results of a new study might help provide a little bit of explanation as to why it is that so often in this country, police officers apparently overestimate the amount of threat posed by generally unarmed black males. Why is it that they see these people and think, I must use lethal force or my life is forfeited at that point? And also, in a larger sense, how we view the males of different races. So researchers asked nearly 1,000 online participants to judge the height, weight, muscularity, and strength of both black and white men based only on photos of their faces. So that's limited information to go on, but there is a little bit of information, and particularly salient information in America considering our racial history and context. All participants in the survey, both white and black, consistently overestimated the measurements for black faces relative to white faces, even though the men pictured were all of similar size. There was no games being played with the size of the faces. The information is being provided from inside of the brain of the participant in the survey. In another experiment, participants were shown the exact same racially ambiguous body. When the person was labeled as black, participants thought he was taller and heavier than those who were told he was white. It is literally the exact same body. Not even the apparent, the phenotypic race is being modified there. It's literally only the identification of the person's race. Now, as I said there, white and black similarly overestimated the size of these people. But a difference emerged when the researchers asked participants whether the person appeared threatening and if police force would hypothetically be justified if that person were a suspect. Only the white participants felt the perceived greater size of the black faces made them greater threats and more potentially deserving of force. So while black individuals in the survey also overestimated the size, they did not then think, as a result of that, police are justified in using force, potentially even lethal force.
So there's a couple of different factors at play here. So what we always talk about how discrimination and stereotypes are in all of our heads. So they're even in black folks' heads. So and this is not surprising. The study after study has borne this out. If you tell people that they are inferior, they begin to internalize it, which is of course slightly different. But you internalize a lot of the stereotypes that are out there, right or wrong. The famous blue eye, brown eye experiment in Kansas, all white kids, but we're told blue eyes are inferior or brown eyes are inferior. Not only do the superior eye race get all confident and do better in the tests, the inferior eyes, whether they're blue eyes or brown eyes, they switched, okay? Yeah. And immediately worked anyway. They start to think that they're inferior. So even black folks think that black guy is bigger than the white guy, even though they're the same size. And even mentioning the word black gets them to think bigger. But there is a difference though. Black folks think bigger, but they don't think danger, because why? Among the reasons why is because they live with other black people and they know day to day. There isn't like, oh my God, we're in constant danger. What if my aunt attacks me, right? Whereas a lot of white folks, of course, now in America have interaction with black people, but a lot of them don't. And if their interaction,
or far less, and different sorts.
Exactly, their interaction is smaller. They have a black friend at work, but they don't live maybe in a city or a portion of a city with a lot of African Americans. So to them, it seems foreign and an outsider or another is always perceived danger.
Yeah. Well, this goes to the history of America. There's a great documentary on Netflix called The 13th out right now. And they tell the details that after the slaves were freed, that was a huge hit to the economy. So they had to basically put them in jail to work. And the government, the police, they made black people spooky and they made them very dangerous. And that's kind of where this, way before that, but where the notion that these people could be up to no good. I mean, a couple years ago, a black guy with a hoodie, Trayvon Martin, walking with Skittles. The way the media, conservative media, some media depicted it as he's beat George Zimmerman to within an inch of his life. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even possible body type. Yeah. So it's systemic in police departments and just the way people think. And this president is also not helping.
So yeah, two things about what Jordan said. One, even more stark is the Tamir Rice case in Cleveland, where he was 12 years old, had a toy gun. They didn't even ask to kill him in 2 seconds flat. But the cop thought that he was 24 years old. And by the way, another study shows that young black kids are considered by people who are seeing them as about 3 to 4 years older than the same age white kids.
Kids who are less than 10 years old in a lot of cases.
That's right.
Shift.
So blacks are perceived as bigger, stronger, older, and by white people as more dangerous. Now, if you've got that.
And also, in that study, more responsible for their actions, because this is an older kid. They should know what they're doing, but they're not, they're younger.
And if you've got that thought in everybody's head and that stereotype is set in, and it's also true of the cops. It's not that the cops are worse people, it's in all of our heads. But the cops have guns and they have authority. So what we should do is, instead of saying, oh no, all the cops are good, leave them alone, we should say, hey, maybe we can try to get that out of our heads so they don't disproportionately kill African Americans, which is true. That does happen significantly disproportionately. And how did it get in our heads? That's the other point that Jordan made that's so interesting. After slavery was over, the economy takes a hit, et cetera, and the propaganda begins because we need to replace that labor force, and there's many other factors, and oh my God, they're free, and remember, look at what we did to them, what if they do it back to us? And there's all this fear, and there's all this need at that point. So they start a systematic propaganda program, including the first feature-length film ever, A Birth of a Nation, with a white guy dressed in blackface who would go around and grabbing all the white women and raping them. Right? And so that is how the stereotype began, and that's why when people say, hey, this is, remember Jim Crow, remember slavery, the people go, oh, that doesn't matter, that was so long ago. No, unfortunately it does matter. That's where it started, and it has rained down on us, and it's still affecting this whole culture, and hence leading to these results.
Do you remember we did a story, it might have been a year ago, I'm not entirely sure. It was after one of the unnecessary shootings of an unarmed black male, and the descriptions were out there. This is a thug, look how big they are, how scary they are. And so we went back and we showed newspaper clippings from the last 100 years of how they describe black assailants and crimes. And they used words like beastly and massive, a giant of a man. That's been going on for a long time. And so it's partially them reflecting the prejudices they had, and it partially serves the purpose of propagandizing, telling people that these are not the same humans as other humans. They're larger, scary, dangerous people. And one of the reasons I was so glad to cover this, political psychology is the area of academia that I come from. I miss it a lot. Because everybody needs to read more political psychology, because if you understand the way the human brain filters information, how it tries to make sense of a complicated world, you can understand how we get police brutality, how we get bills based on policies that have been shown time and time again to not actually function the way they're supposed to. So it's always a pleasure to cover a little bit of this.
I'll just add real quick, expanding beyond just African Americans, having covered Standing Rock, as many times, if you breathe near a police officer in this country, the deference goes to them. If they say, oh, we were under threat, this and that. I mean, some of the shit I saw out there was straight out of a dystopian horror flick. So the Native Americans, whatever the minority, even white people, until that psychology that you're not criticizing all police officers, but you cannot give them carte blanche to do whatever they want. I mean, we're going to continue having this.
Yeah, of course the correct answer is, it's not all police officers, and at the same time, we should hold our public officials accountable. It's not that complicated. And you want to talk about negative stereotypes. After, in this country, the Native Americans were butchered and massacred and given diseases and almost wiped out, then we called them savages.
Are you sick of the mainstream media? Then I got good news for you. We're gonna hire some investigative reporters and we're gonna go house. We're actually going to investigate what's happening in this country and stand up for you guys. Help us do it. Go to tytnetwork.com/go. If everybody watching this video just gives a little bit of money, we'd have plenty to hire those investigative teams and unleash them on the country.